Well, happening now, a battle on Capitol Hill to cut abuse in the food stamp program by closing some loopholes. That's what the Republicans say they're doing with their bill. But Democrats say cutting funding for food stamps is taking support from those that need it. Nearly 48 million Americans are signed up to receive food stamps, or 1 out of 7 of us. And while we've certainly documented the abuses of the food stamp system, Greg has his favorite, of course, Surfer Dude, that's using food stamps to buy lobsters. You do like Surfer Dude. You know, the fact is there's also truly need help and are dependent upon this program as well. So for the past week, a millionaire has been living on a food stamp budget, spending no more than $4.50 a day on food to see what it's like. What is it really like? Ron Shaich is the founder and CEO of Panera Bread. Ron, nice to have you on the program.
Good morning, Jenna. How are you?
I'm great. You know, the food stamp issue is really politically loaded. And because we had the vote this week on the Farm Bill, I'm just curious, you know, what were your motivations for doing this? Did you have a political point you were trying to prove?
Well, the truth is we've been working in the hunger space for the better part of a decade and a half. We contribute $150 million of product every single year to food banks around the country. We created these cafes of shared responsibility where people can come in and, if they have the need, can eat. And we will take care of them. If they have the means, we ask them to pay it forward and take care of somebody else. They've been a huge success. And I was approached by the folks at Feeding America, which is the umbrella group for all the food banks in the country, and asked if I wanted and was interested in taking the challenge. And I decided it was something I wanted to do because I wanted to experience, in a very small way, because obviously it's just a simulation,
sure,
what it feels like to be at the effect of not having enough food.
Well,
I wanted to personally experience it.
We thought it was ironic, of course, because here you're the CEO of this huge restaurant chain, and food is, you know, a big deal in your life, Ron. So
Absolutely.
What was it like? I mean, how did you do it?
Well, it's interesting, Jenna. It actually became a bigger deal. You know, we in our normal lives, many of us, I did for sure, took food for granted. So in the morning, I'd take my kids to school, I'd stop and get something. I'd be in the office, we'd grab a sandwich. In the evening, we wanted to eat. We ate what we wanted. We'd go where we wanted. The reality is living on food stamps meant that food dominated my life. What it meant was when I went to the grocery store at the beginning of the experience, I had to figure out how to buy my week's groceries for $25. I got to the counter and had to leave the milk behind because I didn't have enough money for the milk. I had to figure out what I was going to eat each night. And what it ultimately meant is this became a major issue in my life. And I can't imagine what it would be like both working or studying or trying to maintain myself if I were living in these kinds of conditions. It is really hard.
I was reading your blog. There was a couple really interesting anecdotes, including snapping at your wife a little bit, Ron, when she fed you a little too much pasta one night because you were worried about running out later in the week. We have actually, I just want to show our viewers your grocery list because you depended a lot on, you said, carbohydrates, also lentils and chickpeas. You did take the cheese, but you did leave the milk. That was one of the decisions that you said that you regretted, not taking the milk and trading it out. But it gives our viewers an idea. You know, I misstated something earlier in our tease. You actually have 1,800, not 800 stores, right. 1,800 nationwide. Your company is worth more than $5 billion. And we don't often have a CEO on our show that runs a company that's worth as much. And I'm just curious, based on what your experience was over the last week, what do you think is key to running a successful food stamp program? Because we don't want to leave people that are in need without anything, but we also don't want abuses in the system. So what do you think is the solution?
Well, you know, I think it actually, listen, I think it starts with asking a question. And that is the question of what kind of society we want. I mean, the reality is in any large-scale program, there are people that game it. Surfer Dude undoubtedly is gaming it. There are any number of people that game it and figure out how to take advantage. But the truth is that also there are tens of millions of people, of our fellow citizens, that are in real pain. And we're talking about 1 in 6 families. We're talking about 1 in 4 children. I mean, these are massive numbers of our own citizens. And I think each of us as individuals, each of us as business people, as citizens, have got to ask ourselves this question. What kind of society do we want? What are our priorities? And how do we feel when our fellow citizens, many of them, are going to bed at night unable to eat? What does it do to this society?
What do you think it does?
I actually think it has major negative impact. I don't think it is good. It is very difficult to be a productive member of the society when I can't eat. You know, the part that's been most interesting to me has not been my diet. It's been the hundreds, if not thousands, of letters I've received, emails from people who talk to me about their own experiences. And some of them touch home. I heard from a gentleman who had been at HP for 25 years, lost his job, and was now on SNAP. I heard from a woman who said to me, you know, it's one thing when you don't have enough food for yourself, but what do you say to your children when they come home from school and there's no food for a snack and no food for dinner? And about the elderly folks who said, listen, we worked hard and we have nothing. We don't have the ability to eat. And the question to me is, what do you say to those folks? And what do we have? Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell our viewers, because we're up against a commercial break, that a lot of these great stories you tell on your blog, and they can go ahead and check that out through LinkedIn. Just a final question, Ron. I know you're this big CEO, yes, and you run this successful company, but do you ever think about getting involved, like politically? Do you ever think about doing more that way?
You know, this is, you know, for me, Panera is my work of art, and I love making a difference through it. Business is one way in our society that you really can make a difference, and for me, this is a great place to be.
I was just curious. I really, and very interesting plan that you have too, where you do your own restaurants that support people that need a bite to eat. Some interesting stories from that. Ron, I hope you come back to the program. It was nice to talk to you. I know you're busy,
Janet,
but it's nice to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.